What's up, guys? My name is Justin. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are back on Gran Turismo 4 for another car story. Today we are highlighting what many consider to be the best Gran Turismo car ever, but I don't know. It's up to discussion. It's up to you to decide. But this is the Toyota GT1, a Le Mans race car from the late 90s. So let's get a launch in, let's fire it up, and then we'll talk about it. Obviously much faster than what we highlighted last week with the Ford Model T. So we're here today at Fuji kind of classic. This is the 1980s Fuji circuit or layout, just to try to highlight a little bit of the speed and performance and handling of this car. So going to be quite fast laps around here. Obviously a lot of straights, only really 3 big braking zones. So yeah, this car was a Le Mans prototype that basically skirted around every rule in the book. But that's kind of what racing's all about. I'm turning into the grass there almost. I'm a firm believer that if you aren't like at least trying to push the rules and push the rule book and make whatever organizers tell you that the car isn't legal or isn't okay, then you're not doing your job, especially in something as competitive as the World Endurance Championship or, you know, World Sports Car Racing, 24 Hours Le Mans, etc. So if they weren't pushing the issue, I'd kind of question why they even showed up. But I'm gonna just drive off and smash the wall in this priceless car, but it's fine. Arcade game. Anyways, though, this car is pretty notable for a couple of reasons. First of all, when the development for this car started, the cars that were dominating were like the Porsche 911 GT1, the Mercedes CLK GTR in 97, 98, and those kind of era, and kind of the McLaren F1 holdover in the late 90s as well. That was kind of more mid-90s, but still. And so Toyota was trying to figure out how to design this car to fit into the GTLM category regulations of production car. And they realized that you didn't need to build like 25 homologation examples, you only had to build one. And so they did. They built one based on the race car, basically. They did it backwards, which Mercedes was known for doing as well. They basically jumped through every hoop in the book. You can see there were 225 miles an hour down towards turn 1, so quite crazy performance around here. But basically everything that would be shady today and probably get looked at with side eyes, they did on this car. The regulations said, like I said, you had to have one kind of production car example, or they might have done 2 actually. I think one is in Japan at the Toyota factory, and one is at like Toyota Racing's factory, wherever that is. But anyways, just a very, very cool car, very special car. Technically, this is again a production car and not a prototype, but it's a prototype. Don't get it wrong. The main thing that this car is famous for, as far as bypassing the regulations, was in the late 90s, the ACO mandated, for the 24 Hours of Le Mans and the rest of the schedule, that the cars that compete in the GTLM class had to be GT cars. And so the stipulation for it being a street legal production car was that you had to have a space large enough to hold a standard suitcase. And Mercedes had gotten around this, I believe, on the CLK GTR by saying, oh yes, of course, we have this basically inaccessible pocket, basically, in the belly of the car, which is where your suitcase would go, and it was completely inaccessible and made no sense. But technically speaking, it was on the car and was where you could put your suitcase. Toyota, with this car, took that a step further, maybe 5 steps further. They said, and they convinced the ACO of this and was approved. How, I have no idea, but it was deemed legal. They said, oh yeah, we need a space big enough on the car when it's, you know, pre-race tech, which would be, you know, before the driver's in it, before all the weight's added from all the fluids, before fuel's in it. That's a key part. They said that, yes, the qualifying distinction for this car was that you could put the suitcase in the fuel tank. Now, everybody and their mom knows that that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. You couldn't put your suitcase in your fuel tank, not just for practicality reasons, but obviously for, you know, why you need to put fuel in your fuel tank. Like, that's what it's for. But somehow the ACO was talked into going with this and accepting this car as a production car because it had space via the fuel tank to put a suitcase in, which is absolutely absurd. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. It's pretty ridiculous, but hey, if they bought it, so be it. So yeah, again, this car was a great car, very successful car on the world stage. Won a lot of races, won a lot of big races as well, important races, and it's pretty notable, again, not just through these Gran Turismo games, where obviously being Japanese and Asian-made games, this car is very, very legendary and is period correct. Again, the first Gran Turismo game was what, like late 90s, early 2000s, I don't know exactly. But regardless, this was right about the time this car was new and racing on the world stage, so it made a lot of sense. But very, very cool car, very, very pretty car. And again, if you ever go to Toyota in Japan and see their factory or their museum or wherever it is, this car technically has a street version that's painted very similar to this with a very minimalistic interior. that you can go see the street car version of this ridiculous car and decide for yourself whether or not it's a prototype or a street car. But looks absolutely insane. Obviously, the bodywork doesn't scream production car at all. Doesn't scream street car, but technically it was approved as such, so that's what we'll go with. But yeah, definitely one of the more cheatingest cars, if you want to think of it that way, in the world history. And so definitely appropriate that it needed its own car story, because it's, in my opinion, a story of admiration. I don't know how they got it by the ACO scrutineers, but you know, they did, so that makes it legal in my mind. It's similar to other times when we've had drivers or teams accused of cheating, and it's, you know, you want to go back retroactively and say they were cheating years ago. Well, if the car's passed tech and everything was legal per the regulations, then even if it's illegal today, it's not cheating. Like if they pass tech, that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to push up to the limit of passing tech and wait till they throw something back at you and say you can't do that, or wait until you get parked for it. So again, just a very special car, a very incredible car. Obviously a multiply fast car. I mean, faster than your brain can think if you've seen it a couple times on these laps here. But just a really cool story, a special car, and obviously something that can never really truly be repeated today, because by all means this would be, even if you made a production version, homologation specials aren't really a thing, but even if they were and you did one, this would never be considered a production car or a street car by any means. So I'm going to just fly off there in the turn 1 at 1980s Fuji, which means if I would have hit that wall, I 100% would have died, because that's what you did in the 1980s when you crash at that speed. But yeah, just a very cool, very special car, and obviously something that I'm very fond of, even though I'm not a huge fan of Japanese race cars particularly, or Super GT or GT500 or anything like that. And again, this is a pretty special car in terms of the history of Le Mans, the history of sports car racing in the late 90s. So with that, I hope you appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying these car stories. I hope you'll drop a like, sub down below if you don't want to miss anything else, or I don't want you to miss anything else, I should say, from Gran Turismo 4, other racing games, Camaro content, iRacing content, anything else we do. I appreciate you all so very much, and I hope you come back next week for whatever's next. But that's going to be it for me. Until next time, as always, bye-bye.